We have a lot on the table today, so I want to get right to it. My next guest, Dr. William Parker, a friend of the show and a friend as well, CEO of Parker Maritime Strategies, Parker Maritime Technologies, but also someone well-versed in military strategy, having commanded in the Middle East during his nearly 3 decades in uniform in the Navy. Bill, to get right to it, Israel versus Iran, Iran versus Israel in the Middle East, and a very complicated situation. What's your analysis?
Well, it is a complicated situation for sure. Good to be back on your show, by the way. I think that the strike was a convergence of urgent military, strategic, and diplomatic factors by Israel. I think they kind of looked at this and said there's an imminent nuclear breakout about to happen as Iran is about to get to 90% in enrichment. The IAEA just reported the uranium enrichment was at 84% purity, and so that was worth being concerned about. Secondly, the collapse of diplomacy. With the JCPOA gone, with the talks kind of stalling with the United States, I think that was an issue they were looking at. Strategically, they were looking at the fact that Ramadan just ended. I think they were looking at the fact that Iran's air defense systems were undergoing kind of a major rotation at this particular moment. And that was important to him domestically and politically. Netanyahu was facing a lot of domestic pressure right now, and so this was probably the right time for him. And then a security window was pretty interesting because the Fata-1 hypersonic missiles were about to come online, as were the Basir long-range guided systems. So those were going to come online here in the next couple of weeks and be fully capable. And then finally, the U.S. political ambiguity gave Israel room right now. And what I'm saying there is that the U.S. clearly has been distancing itself from the preemptive strike, yet it's also not actively blocking Israel's actions. And so there's that balance right there. And I think Israel said this was the one opportunity they were going to have where all those things came together that I just talked about.
The president, by the way, will meet with his national security team and cabinet this morning, I believe at 11 a.m. It's expected that, or has been announced that he and Prime Minister Netanyahu will speak as well. Now, again, early reporting on this and a number of other factors from other countries, Jordan allowing overflights over its airspace. Turkey may or may not, some of the reporting says they are participating in some way. UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, some of the major players. And also, if you look at the president's recent Middle Eastern trip, Bill, what does this look like for these other nations? And again, I'm looking at Iran and these other nations, including the fact that Lebanon has warned Hezbollah not to declare war on their own, their statement.
Yeah, I think that those talks are probably ongoing right now. I think those talks started, as you mentioned, during the trips the trip that President Trump had to the Middle East. I think you're probably going to see a range of responses, or attempted responses anyway, from Iran as well. And I think those will be broken down into kind of short-term, medium-term, long, and then longer. And I think in the short term, in the next couple of days, you're going to see a series of attempts by Iran for more drone strikes. I think you'll see some short-range and medium-range ballistic missiles coming out of Iran, specifically the Shahab 3 and the Feta 110. I think you'll see a lot of those fired. And then in the next couple of weeks, I think you'll see more intense rockets and drones. I think that you may see, it would be a huge, huge mistake, but you may see targeting of U.S. assets and oil infrastructure, specifically Saudi Arabia and UAE, could happen. I think you'll see some assassination attempts, some cyber attacks. on the electric grid, water systems, banking, communications, maybe not just in Israel, but those countries that are supporting. And Iran does have a significant cyber capability. I don't want to paint them as a giant, but they have some capability there. And then I think in the very long term, you will have an effort that will probably has already started on nuclear acceleration to try to get to that 90% weapons grade in defiance of the IAEA, in defiance of non-proliferation, and as a potential use of a weapon down the road.
It seems as if we are clearly walking a line carefully here, the president and his administration on this. And it's likely we'll find out more in the coming days. There are some reporting on this is that this is a 2-week long or potentially a 2-week long operation that's coming out of the Israeli side of the equation. So we'll see. You've commanded in those waters, and you've talked about it, the crowded nature and the complex nature of the waters in the Middle East and the Mediterranean. Factors there that we should be concerned about, or otherwise is Iran's naval or submersible capability a part of this?
It absolutely is. You would have to look at their submersible. You'd have to look at, as we've talked about before, cyber attacks. You'd also have to look at unconventional warfare when you're pulling into ports, but also with civilian ships being used by the Iranians. I think all those things will be interesting. And as you pointed out, these are very crowded waters. So I think that will certainly be a significant issue.
My friends, stay close to your phone. I really appreciate you taking the quick call this morning. We'll have a lot more to discuss as this develops.
Okay, thanks a lot, David, and thanks for staying on top of these kind of issues.
Dr. William Parker III, CEO of Parker Maritime Technologies and author of Guaranteeing America's Security in the 21st Century. It should be on everybody's bookshelf as an excellent course load and guide